my top 5 favorite random SEC spring game moments of recent memory. Very specific. Very specific. You're gonna have ones probably to add to this, or something comes up, just blurt it out, because I tried to put this list together and then I realized there's not a ton of these. There's not a ton. There are some. There are definitely some. I think Spurrier sneaking into the end zone at the end of the 2018 South Carolina spring game, and then with gloves on, dropping this wide open pass was incredible Spurrier content. That I think it's so much better that he dropped this pass than if he caught it. If he caught it, you're like, all right, it's fun. That was cute. Way funnier that he dropped it and he just sat there. He basically collapsed to the ground in the end zone. He's just sitting there sprawled out. Head ball coach was past his prime for this one.
We've talked about that. That's one of those moments you guys just grab your leg. You gotta just fake an injury, fake a cramp, start stretching afterward. That's what you gotta do.
You can't come out there in gloves and miss that.
Yeah.
You can't, man. You absolutely can't. A tough moment. Very, very tough moment. I've brought this one up before, so I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but Joe Test losing his mind on every one of those Agiye Hall catches in the 2021 Bama spring game was great. Man, oh man. Sorry, I'm not going to do a Joe Test. Man, oh man, I don't want to make too much of an early enrollee freshman. And then Herbstreit jumps in as he's saying this, and he's like, why
But
not?
I will.
Why not?
You won't do it, but trust me, I'm Kirk Herbstreit. I will.
Joe Test says, but are you kidding me with the ball skills and body control of Agiye Hall? Those days are gone. It's sad. Pour one out for those moments. I hope it works out best for Agiye Hall. I hope he has a good life. I really do. It's usually not the best time when a guy's trying to sneak 40 pounds of weed through an airport. I don't know the track record of guys after the fact.
Is that what you know what? I hope he is okay. I'm just going to put that there. That is a lot of weed. Anyway.
Google that one, Will. Orlando Airport, actually.
Oh, no. The mouse is going to never let him go, brother. He's going to be under that airport.
It's a large amount that this happened with. Yeah. Guess his career catch total and guess his current school, not stool.
Oh man, I'm gonna say let's say like 20 catches and current school. I got no guesses.
5 catches.
Oh no,
I think he had 3 in the spring game. Those doesn't count towards his total catches, but I think he had 4 at Bama. I think he had 1 at Texas. If I'm not mistaken. I don't think he had 1 at UCF. He is currently at his 4th school, Sacramento State. That's right. Just made the jump to FBS. So, just saying. Agiye Hall. 2018 Bama spring game. Saban on a hot mic, being mad that Jalen Hurts has been in the system for 2 years, but he can't move the offense downfield with his arm, while third stringer Mac Jones can.
Cold take.
Very, very. We should have declared the QB battle right there. That was the very famous offseason battle with Tua. It was done right there. It really was. Jalen figured it out. He did. He figured out the throwing thing. But again, that's part of this, where we're going to look back on this era and go, wait a minute. Saban was allowed to be caught on a hot mic on TV of a spring game? What? That's crazy. I don't think that would happen now.
Yeah. I think, to reinforce that point, maybe you need to change the offense a little bit if it don't work for Jalen Hurts. But anyway, so yeah, no, I mean, and that's the thing, like all that stuff is totally gone now. And when guys, it's almost like a Phil Jackson thing where guys will do it now for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Guys will do it now to get a message across, but it's very rare to get like actual player evaluations during a TV game like that, We
didn't talk about this when we did the Saban emergency pod after he retired, but I've realized that one of the things I miss most about Saban on the sidelines is actually Saban trailing the play in the spring game while wearing a salmon blazer and just losing his mind over very specific things. That was one of them. That's the most famous example. And the fact that it was on a hot mic too at that moment made it that much better.
It's so with Saban, we got so many different styles, right? We have the light blue blazer when it's time to get into the college football playoff. We have the straw hat when it's the non-televised practices. We have that blazer for the spring game / like A-Day. And then, we have his Joe. So that guy, say what you will, but he was getting some fits off during his years in Alabama.
Nobody in the history of life has had a better spring wardrobe than Nick Saban. Nobody. That guy was ready to go to Easter service at any moment with the outfits he would show up into the spring game. We miss it. 2021 A&M spring game. mic'd up Jimbo Fisher was a trip, an absolute trip. How anyone on the field could understand him is beyond me. No idea. And I must have actually watched this in real time. I know I said earlier that I think I watched that on replay on YouTube. I remember watching this in real time. It was
You had to see the start of the dynasty, bro. I get it.
Look, 2020, best AP top 25 finish since 1939.
Yep.
A&M was feeling it. And
Yep.
Jimbo was feeling it a little bit too. They had a quarterback battle. Haynes King, Zach Calzada, two guys starting in other places. How about that?
Is Haynes King done yet, man?
No,
Is he back too?
no. Haynes King is never done. Haynes King is back.
So they're both going to start this year. That's
Yeah.
really cool. How about that? That was an entire presidential administration ago, this gentleman were competing in spring in the SEC.
They were not good that day. They were bad. And it was easy to kind of blame it on the
Oh.
wind, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
But Jimbo would just defend them at every single turn and blast everyone else.
Mhm.
Like, you would watch Zach Calzada sail a throw 10 yards over the receiver's head, and Jimbo is just like in his version, MFing the receiver and being like, why'd you stop your route there? It's
Dadgummit.
so many dadgummits. Oh my gosh. Well, infinity dadgummits that day. That was a great showing. Not really so much a moment, but more so just 2 hours into the very specific lens of Jimbo Fisher. Oh, it's great stuff. And then this one is for you, Will. The highlight of Miles Brennan's career, probably a fake spike, long touchdown pass, and a gritty. The best 12 seconds that Miles Brennan has had on a football field. Even though I think I sold my Miles Brennan stock officially 3 years ago. But there's definitely a part of me that I want to short the stock. I'm not entirely sure I know what that means, but if I could, I would short the Miles Brennan stock. 2021, just I guess maybe the peak of spring games it was. I think that's probably a result of the COVID canceled 2020 spring games and everybody in 2021 being like, let's have fun again. Remember how much this sucked last year? Let's do all these fun, crazy things, and let's let coaches be mic'd up and everybody's going to be themselves. NIL and portal have probably since killed that. But Miles Brennan, fake spike, touchdown pass, gritty, deadly combination.
Yeah, I mean, Miles Brennan, that's the thing. Miles Brennan is exactly the example. And I would almost say more than Jai Hall, because it's like Miles Brennan felt like a folk character coming out. He was related to the famous Brennan family. He lived on a boat for a couple of years. I remember that, before he came to LSU, everything about him was like, who is this character?
He was Hurricane Katrina, where his house got taken in hurricane.
Yeah,
because he was living in Mississippi, right? I remember that.
Yeah, he was in Port St. Lucie, I think. He had this crazy backstory, and we saw it. But it was whoa, here's the next guy. And honestly, kind of similar to how Nuss was, where it's oh, you got this family, we're waiting to see you. One of those guys obviously worked out pretty well. The other one, not as much. He obviously got injured and had all the stuff. But that's a great example, especially for a quarterback, where it's man, I'm building a mythology in my mind of what this guy can be, and it just never comes to fruition.
Any spring game moments that I forgot here? I mean, there's plenty that I forgot. Just I try to stick to the SEC because if we were getting outside the SEC, I mean, Nebraska's got two of the best. Jack Hoffman, the late Jack Hoffman, that moment, and then the faux Pelini raising the cat. I think I was there for that.
How could you forget that?
Well, Pelini era was a blur. Let me tell you, because I'm trying to remember if that was 13 or 14. I was there for that because that would have been 14, right? I think I was there for 14 and 15 spring games because I wasn't there for the 13 spring game.
That's the most interesting thing they've done is that, like I said, I've never been a huge spring game guy. I think that, the one that you mentioned, I remember being excited about Racey McMath. But I think outside of that, it's maybe the two, Daniels quarterbacks, JT and Jaden. Now there was one went to this spring game, one went to this spring game. What are we doing? It was the light transfer thing. It was kind of used as recruiting. We talked about it with Dion had some guys that used their film to go get recruited other places. So I think those are some of the recent ones that come to mind. But I try to counter message myself to buy into this stuff. That's what I'm saying. You gotta I try to flush it as soon as it gets done.
This is going to be a negative one. I feel like I've been dumping on Auburn a lot lately, so I apologize. I don't mean to do that, but the Joey Gatewood buzz going into that first spring game that he was going to play. Now, he didn't have Jeremy Johnson buzz, but there was so much Joey Gatewood, Cam Newton buzz. This might be when my initial evergreen take about don't compare anyone to Cameron Newton began with Joey Gatewood. I think he's the poster child for it. Jeremy Johnson's also a poster child for it, but And then seeing Joey Gatewood throw a football in that spring game, I said, guys, never, 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 ever. Don't forget same sentence as Cam Newton. I don't want same paragraph. I don't want same day. Just don't do it. And that was one of those spring game performances where I went into it very skeptical, and then I felt like my skepticism was not only confirmed, but I went even further in the other direction, and I was like, this is a long way off. And Joey Gatewood ended up playing tight end and switching positions later when he transferred, ironically enough, initially to Kentucky and then to UCF. I think there was another school added in there too, probably.
Do you have this written down? I just looked
No,
this
I
up
just
because
remember
I had
this
to.
crap.
Yeah, because I had to look it up because I remembered that the final school. So that spring game was like 2018. What year do you think he took his last? Like, I'm not gonna count a bowl game.
His
What was
last
this?
quarterback reps?
No. His last reps in college football. That was 2018.
22.
Close. It looks like he took a sabbatical or got injured here. 23.
Wow.
Yeah, Joey Goatwood. He popped up a year later, different position. Date Mike, new year, new me. Still wasn't very good. Had 3 tutties as a receiver tight end at Louisville. So that was the last school. Louisville, Auburn, Kentucky, UCF, Louisville.
Hope Joey Gatewood's doing well.
Yeah.
Hope Joey Gatewood's doing well. But yeah, the spring game moments where sometimes there's like the confirmation bias of a big time recruit, and then there's the other way wherein you kind of realize, oh, this might be pretty ugly, and it's very difficult for me to not overreact to all this stuff. But yeah, feels like we're in a very different time with spring games, and I don't know that we're going to have a whole lot of moments that will come anywhere close to that. And if we do, and if they somehow squeeze out and we get them, that would be great, and I would absolutely love it. And I'm sure we'll hopefully have at least some takeaways from these spring games.